hungry tonight. That is the goal of Khana Chahiye Foundation. When the citizens of Mumbai, Thane and MMR got together with their bravery, kindness and hard work, they formed Khana Chahiye Foundation. Today we are going to be in conversation with Neeraj Shetye and learn from him that how this foundation went from 300 meals per day to 10k meals per day and became this huge relief operation. Hey everybody, hey Yashpal, hey Kaushal. We'll just wait for Neeraj to join in. I hope everybody is following our page. We're bringing you amazing inspirational stories that are that people are changing people's lives. They're doing so many things for the betterment of the society. Hey everybody. If you knew, Khana Chahiye Foundation started as a COVID response relief operation in March 2020. They served 4.6 million meals, distributed 20,000 grocery kits. Their ongoing operation has served 1.5 million meals and distributed 21 grocery kits, and it's still on. Oh, there is Neeraj. Let me. Hi Neeraj.
Hi Dipshika, how are you?
Good evening. Just
Good
one
evening.
second. Sorry.
Yeah.
You can hear me correct? Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Hey everybody. Okay, so Neeraj, I was just telling our viewers that how this Khana Chahiye Foundation went from 300 meals to 10k meals a day. That is an amazing feat. So would you like to tell us, Neeraj, that how did this begin? Like, how did this thing start?
I mean, sure. And first of all, thank you for having us, and you're doing a great job with highlighting the stories that are making a difference. Khana Chahiye, I mean, essentially began as a response to a crisis that we all witnessed last year. The lockdown that was announced after the COVID-19 pandemic hit India. It caused a lot of trouble, especially for people involved in the informal economy or the daily wage industry, because the lockdown shut down all these businesses and small initiatives that were already on in the city. It led to a lot of chaos and confusion among the daily wage laborers and the lower class communities across Mumbai. So we began as a response. We started serving 500 meals across the Western Express Highway. Ruben Mascarenhas, one of our co-founders, essentially started the whole operation and started serving meals to people living under the bridges. Because of this operation, within a week we started getting SOS calls and requests from other parts of the city, and people approached us wanting to requesting us for meals in those parts. So the team quickly mobilized itself. Ruben, Advocate Rakesh Singh, Niti Goel, who's a restaurateur, Swaraj Shetty, Anik Garia. These are people who are already active in the civic engagement space. They all came together and they sort of started Khana Chahiye as a formal collective. Then there was Shishir Joshi from Project Mumbai, who sort of supported us because Khana Chahiye was an informal campaign and we needed some organizational backing. So that's how that's the beginning of Khana Chahiye.
So in the beginning, when these founders came together, like you named a few, where did they get their supplies from, meals from? How did it begin?
So what we did is, if you remember, in the lockdown was announced with just a 4 hours notice, and restaurants were not restaurants, or all these small eating places were shut down overnight, and the staff couldn't be accommodated, and restaurant owners faced a lot of problem. Hospitality industry in general faced a lot of issues. So what we did is we started contacting these restaurants, and we identified certain restaurants who were in trouble, and asked them to cook for us. So of course they were not going to make a huge profit out of what we were doing, but they could earn at least somewhere close to where they could sustain their business, where they didn't have to lay off their employees. So that's how we started. We started with 3-4 kitchens, and eventually, in other parts of the city, restaurants started contacting us. So we made some kitchen partners, and that's how commercial kitchens were started. And these were unutilized restaurants that we used for our operation.
Amazing. So when this thing started, how did you guys get your video is blurring out. Do you want to check your Wi-Fi or your this thing? I can't see your face. It's blurring out.
Just a second. Yeah, I mean my Wi-Fi is
I think we lost.
Yeah, just a second.
Sorry, just 1 second. I can't hear you also. I think I lost you there. Aishwarya, can you see me? Only Neeraj is blur, correct? Or am I also blur? Okay. Guys, just hang on for a bit. They will, I think we can just put them on again. Okay, Ash, thank you. Hi.
Hi, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're clear.
Might be some data issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Now you're clear. Yeah. So I was asking you, Neeraj, that in the beginning when this thing started, okay, you said you use some, commercial kitchens and stuff. How did you get the word around? Like, how did you start getting volunteers?
So actually, that was a very organic process because people were already stuck inside their houses, offices were shut, schools, colleges were closed, and people saw the problems that everyone else was facing, on media as well. So social media sort of helped us, and Khana Chahiye started reaching out organically on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all these other social media platforms, and people
Right.
started approaching us. That was one good thing about this initiative. Volunteers approach us. So there is very rarely we issue a volunteer call, but otherwise, there are always good Samaritans approaching us, texting us, saying we want to help out in some way or the other. And that's exactly what happened last year. So many people reached out wanting to do something for the society, and that reflected well. We had over 250 volunteers on the ground at all times, and that's something that's phenomenal. That's the actual spirit of Mumbai. I feel that reflected in our movement.
Absolutely, Neeraj, absolutely. What you're saying is so true because, I mean, kuch bhi hota hai Mumbai mein, people just like bounce back and this. And imagine in the midst of COVID when people were like locked inside their homes, here people, I think, just went out and started helping you guys. That was amazing. Neeraj,
That's
your
great,
video
yeah.
is Neeraj, your video is again going a little blurred. So, do you want to turn off your Wi-Fi and start your data or vice versa, whatever you're using?
I have moved to data itself. I'm not using my Wi-Fi because I realize that creates a problem.
Okay.
Is it still blurred?
Yeah. So the video just you're coming and going. So then we won't be able to see Can you just, do you want to just shift to data while you're on the video? You just want to shift to data? We'll wait. We'll wait here. Yeah. Hi Riya, hi Nisha, hi Sachin, hi Rakhi. Hey everybody. Hi Dipti. Everybody who wants to, yes, it's much better now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's much better now. Okay. So I was just saying that everybody who wants to volunteer for Khana Chahiye, we will be tagging them in the video below. So they keep putting up posts of, things like volunteers needed or drivers or whatever. So please come forward and, whatever you guys can do. Okay. So Neeraj, let's go to the main question. Like, okay, I think you're buffering. Just hang on 1 minute. Hi, Deepika. I think we're having a little problem in Neeraj's. Okay, he's left. We'll wait till he joins again. Hi, Anika. Hi, Anjali. Just in 2 minutes. Yeah. Yes, Pooja. He has some internet issues. Okay. We have him here. Go live with Kanachi.
I am extremely sorry. I don't know what's happening with my data. It was all fine until just now. Yeah.
We did our trial. We did the trial and it was perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect. Yeah, please tell me.
Right. Okay, so now the main question is like, okay, you had the kitchens, you had your Instagram and Facebook to reach out to volunteers. How did you guys organize the funds, which is one of the most important things?
So one important thing last year was that, we reached out to a bunch of corporate sponsors. Luckily, there was Azim Premji Foundation, which is Wipro. They backed us up, and there were other sponsors as well. We had Paytm, Godrej, Marico, all, and Parley, for example, was our in-kind sponsor. These sponsors did a phenomenal job. They trusted us because, one important aspect of that trust was, the people who were involved. Someone like Ruben or Swaraj or Shishir Ji or ETG. These are well-known people in the civic engagement industry. So, I mean, they are known for their social work, they're known for their commitment, and people trusted us because of them. And that's how, that was very encouraging for us. That helped us to sustain our operations for four whole months, right? Because of the backing that we got. And also there was crowdfunding, and people of Mumbai also people across the country actually poured in their love. This year, particularly, the difference is that we are majorly funded by people. So we raised over 6 crore rupees in the past 2 months. And this is all because of, the support that we received from India and outside India. Common people, contributed 100 rupees, 500 rupees, 1000 rupees, whatever they could. And that's how actually we were supported majorly. Even this year, we have received funds from Azim Premji Foundation. They trusted our efforts. So that's also happening. But majorly, this year, the difference between the 2 years is that last year it was corporate sponsors. This year is common people who have supported.
Amazing. That is so good. You feel so happy when you actually get to know that, everybody just comes out and pours their love. That is amazing. And you guys are there in the forefront doing everything actually in the midst of a pandemic, which is crazy. Okay. So Neeraj, tell me about you. I mean, how did you get attached? What is your story? How did you come in touch with Khana Chahiye?
So I knew Ruben. I was aware of Ruben because, Ruben was a young, not just a political leader, but he was a young activist, an environmental activist, very active in the civic space in Mumbai. So I followed him for a while, and I was helping him out with, some other social campaigns before Khana Chahiye. And in May, there was a call that he put out saying, it was in April, sorry, there was a call that he put out saying they're expanding in Thane where I live. And that's how I connected with him. I reached out to him on Twitter. It was a simple DM on Twitter, and I told him, you know what, I'm free. I can, come down and maybe distribute a few meals. And that's how I joined. And eventually, as I joined, I realized, it's such a vast organization. Everyone is doing some or the other thing. So I basically started looking at operations and logistics. Entire Mumbai's operation for the operation.
Oh, it's buffering again. Just hang on. I think we lost you for. Neeraj, are you there?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, okay. So the last one sentence that you were in charge of logistics, we lost you there.
And operations. Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, I looked after the entire Mumbai's operations and logistics, and I used to coordinate donors as well as, general operations stuff. And sometimes went on ground as well in Thane.
Okay. And what is your story? Tell us about you.
My story. Okay, so I graduated in 2019. I graduated from Shiv Nadar University, Noida, and I'm originally from Thane. I came home and I had plans for my master's. I was working in the politics and policy space for a year, and I had applied for my master's and gotten through. But the pandemic hit, and basically it sort of deferred my plans as well. Education went online, and I was not okay with an online course, which is why I deferred my admission. And I was looking for. I was going to resume my work in policy. So Khana Chahiye's work was just like a volunteering opportunity. But from here we realized, when I worked with the folks that are there, Ruben and Swaraj and Anik, and all are very passionate about doing something and bring a larger change. We don't want to do just relief operation. So they proposed that, we start a policy intervention with the BMC. We worked with the BMC so closely, might as well start something in policy. So we proposed the policy intervention, and the BMC sort of loved it, and they asked us to work on it. And I joined Khana Chahiye as a public policy researcher full time. And I've been leading their Hunger Map project, which is the policy intervention that we are working on. And that's that's my story. And I'm developing right now. Just when this operation started, we were in the midst of our phase 2 of our project. But the operation has sort of delayed that as well. So, yeah. So we'll resume back to that work, hopefully in July.
That is amazing. So you said Hunger Map. What exactly is a Hunger Map, and what do you do?
So in Hunger Map, what we need to do is, we realize that Mumbai doesn't have a functional crisis management system. So every year we have a crisis. All Mumbaikars know that, in July, August, there's a deluge, and for 3 weeks at least, we come to a standstill because of the monsoon. Then that's the time when everybody talks about we need crisis management, and that conversation dies off after that period. Nobody ever talks about it again until the next monsoon. But last year, when we realized that, when the crisis went on for 7 straight months, 7-8 months, we realized that, it's important to have a management system where if there is an economic crisis, government can help us out. And we didn't have that. I don't think any city in this country has that kind of system, and we are the financial capital, so we needed it. So the Hunger Map essentially maps out, very critical clusters in the city. Where are these slums? Who are these people? What do they require? And it tells the BMC that, tomorrow if the city comes to a standstill, these are the areas that you need to reach out to. So that's essentially the basic version of the Hunger Map. There are more things to it, but it starts with identifying critical pockets in the city.
Okay. And your work with Khana Chahiye, your lead with public policy research.
Wait, I can't hear you.
Hello?
Is it because of your sound?
I can hear you correctly. Now you can hear me. Hello. Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
I can't hear you. I don't know.
Okay. Do you want to just? Hello.
Yeah. Can you hear
now?
me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
I still can't hear you. I don't know what's the problem.
Do you want to join again, Neeraj?
Yeah, let me join again.
Yeah. Mirza, hi. I think, but they can't hear. He can't hear me, so he'll have to join again. Otherwise, he won't be able to hear my questions.
Hi, Dipshita.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hi.
now I can hear you. I don't know what's the issue.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
go on.
So you were talking about your. I was talking about your role with this. You know, when you said that you are lead with public policy research and program management. What exactly is that with Khana Chahiye?
Program management is like a day-to-day thing where, if there is a crisis, now we had to take a important call on, now that, the lockdown was anticipated. So how do we start? Which are the areas that we need to tap in? What is the kind of operation we need to design? That's program management. And in public policy research, what we do is we are identifying schemes that the government has introduced, right? These are schemes related to food. One very important scheme is the ration card schemes that ration card or the PDS system that we already have. So how can we extend that to people who do not have ration cards? How can we help people get documents? So that's the kind of public policy research we do. We understand, if there are actually a good number of policies that the government has introduced on different levels. So we just need to ensure that those are implemented properly. And people should know which are the schemes where they're eligible for. So we help those people access those schemes. So that's the public policy research part. So
That is
those are the two domains in which Khana Chahiye works.
that is important because a lot of people don't know that these schemes exist. So
Yeah.
which is fabulous. Okay, another thing you just said that you anticipated this. So you guys actually anticipated the second wave?
I think everybody did. Everyone. I think medical experts were warning us. There were people on the ground who were preparing themselves for the lockdown. I don't understand. The only agency that did not anticipate this was the government, right? So it was quite shocking to us because NGOs like us were already preparing for it. We sort of expected it in February, that things might go down in the next 1 month. And we saw a migrant crisis this year too. Anyone can claim anything, but we have proofs. We started going to Bandra station and Kurla station, and people were leaving in hordes. And that time, authorities were all like, this is just a summer crowd. But we knew this is not the summer crowd, and because we function on a community community organizer model, we were getting intel from the ground every 2 weeks. So we knew that, this particular community is already panicking. There is a worry among people who have come from outside. Migrants are worried whether they can earn in the next 2 months, in the next few weeks. So that panic was already there. I don't think anyone in the city working in the social sector can claim that Mumbai ever went back to normal. We never went back to normal. We were in the lockdown, and after that, things just went downhill. So we anticipated a second wave. We knew that, that's why people are much more prepared this year. But crisis is a crisis. People are still struggling. So that's the problem.
Correct. So you were talking about yesterday when we were on call, you were talking about the middle class. Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah. So I would say a very concerning trend that we are noticing this year is that the middle class is now being affected by the lockdown. Last year, when the lockdown, was announced, it was mostly the lower class or people living in slum clusters, daily wage earners who were affected. Uh, and that was obvious because, they earn day to day. So if there is no work for a day, they are essentially losing out on income. The effects on the middle class started, I think, later in the later parts of 2020 when people started losing jobs, and there was already a very high unemployment rate in India, before the pandemic. So that sort of continued. And what we noticed, while working is that people thought they would get a job 6 months down the line or 8 months down the line, so they started delving into their savings. But
8 months down the line, the situation is still the same. We are 13 months into the pandemic. It hasn't improved. So people couldn't find a job again, and these are the people who are running out on savings. So a very dangerous trend that we are noticing now in the financial capital of India is that the middle class is now struggling to make ends meet, and we are getting distress calls from families across Mumbai, Thane, Navi Mumbai, asking for help, some form of assistance. The most we can do is we can provide a grocery kit, and that would help them to save some expenses. But yeah, that's the a very dangerous and I feel a very concerning trend that we are noticing.
Yeah. Mr. Singh says you display so much maturity in his analysis.
Thank you.
Uh, yeah, you're probably so young, and you just out of your graduation, and you are, thrown into a pandemic, and you're making all these hunger
Yeah.
maps. So that is so sweet. Okay, another thing, Neeraj, while you were saying that you're getting calls, there was a message on while we were talking a little higher up that Malwani has a lot of poor people. So if you guys have some volunteers there, if you guys can have a look at Malwani also. It was just as we started, there was something about that. Okay,
No, yeah. I mean,
so
we are extensively catering to Malwani. Malwani is again a huge area, and we have partners. We have partners like the Hope Foundation. Chitra ji was online sometime back here. We have someone like her. We have other members also of the community who have reached out. We are doing our part, but a relief organization is a relief organization. There's a limit to what even we can do, but we are trying our best. So whatever distress calls we get, we are reaching
right,
out to those. Yeah.
right. And so right now, you said that Khana Chahiye is now a registered NGO.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just
We
about that.
registered ourselves as an NGO. Yes, in November.
Okay, so you have plans even after the relief operations. You guys want to continue the good work in different areas.
I mean, Hunger Map project is essentially a long-term thing. It's not something that we can finish in a year. A policy intervention ideally takes around, a minimum of 2 to 3 years to take shape. And it's a constant intervention. Things change every 3 months in a city like Mumbai. So we have to constantly map out, you have so many people coming into the city for jobs and opportunities. You need to, I mean, every day, every month, the situation changes. So this is going to be a continuous operation, and Khanache is committed to that cause. I think that reflects into why we registered as an organization, is because we are committed to eliminate hunger as a problem in Mumbai.
Okay. You also told me that from the commercial kitchens, now you guys have set up your own kitchens. Tell us about that. That is really good.
Yeah, so while working, I'm particularly, through the Hunger Map project, a bunch of us in Khanache are working extensively with these slum clusters and communities that are there across Mumbai. And we identified that, there is a lot of potential here. There's a big working class population, youngsters, women, who know a lot of things which can be utilized. So what we did is we worked with this one community in Qureshi Nagar, Kurla, and it's a huge slum cluster called it's near Bantar Bhavan, and we worked with women here, and we worked with one of our local partner called Noble Foundation, and we started a community kitchen. So a community kitchen is where we have employed around 20 self-help group women. These are bachat guts, which are popularly known in Mumbai. We have employed 20 women into cooking meals for us and delivering and distributing meals within the slum cluster. So this helps us in solving two major problems. One is that, locally we are sourcing food. It's helping local businesses also. And number two, it's also helping us in our larger initiative of eliminating hunger, right? We don't have to join. Outsiders do not have to enter the community, which is a danger right now in such a situation, because people live so close that if it would be a complete disaster if the virus is identified in such a pocket. So we thought this is a good way to empower women, this is a good way to empower local communities and generate employment locally. So we started 3 kitchens. One is in Kurla, the other one is in Govandi, and the third one is in Kalyan. And all 3 kitchens are employing women from the community itself. So women are cooking, they are packing, they're delivering, everything is done.
we lost you for 1 second. So you said they're delivering and packing, and I mean they're
Yeah, yeah,
packing
yeah.
and
They
delivering
distribute.
themselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They distribute locally. Yeah.
That is such a sustainable model, because I think if
It
you
is.
work with the community, I think that just brings them all together, and they know who to reach and when to reach. Like I think I was talking to a community, a Hug Foundation, a foundation from Bangalore, Hug Foundation, and they said they actually have the seniors in the household will always never be fed, because they are of no use, because they don't go to work, which is such a heart-wrenching fact. And then they had these programs where they would only feed the seniors. So that is so I'm sure when it is within the community, people know who really needs it, and
Yeah,
they
yeah,
will.
yeah. So, I mean, one important trend that I'll tell you in our community. So, in these slum clusters, now there are two issues. Even if people have cooking apparatus, there are two kinds of people. One with a cooking apparatus, who have a kitchen, who have a gas and fuel and whatever, so they can cook. So you can
Yeah,
give them a kit and they can do it. But then there is a community of people who do not have anything. So these are just men, with their families in their native towns in UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, from wherever they have come from. And only men are living here, and they used to eat in these canteens, right, at construction sites and stuff. But now those are off, and they don't have a kitchen at home. So how are they going to manage? So locally, our women have identified around 300 such cases, 300 such individuals, and they serve those 300. Overall, our Kurla kitchen alone generates 1,300 meals every day. And that's how, I mean, they have been doing. So that's the kind of work that they do, and they've identified these beneficiaries. There's also a class of people who cannot afford fuel, right? A lot of people don't have LPG gas cylinder connections and pipe gas like we do, but they have things like stove and those kerosene through which they cook. And kerosene has become so expensive and inaccessible that people can't afford that fuel either. So now these are the people who have kitchens but cannot cook, which is why, we are providing them ready cooked meals. And I'll tell
okay.
you, 150 children eat every day from a community kitchen, 300 such men eat from a community kitchen, and a whole section of vulnerable people access the community kitchen. So that's been a very good observation for us, and a very helpful operation for us.
That is so amazing. I mean, just that message is like so powerful. So give us some numbers. Like you have told us that you guys started with just 300 meals, and now you guys are up to, I think, 10K meals all over Mumbai. And then I saw a post of you guys where you reached out to some tribal families, some 500 tribal families. So tell us
Yes.
about all those numbers.
So we started with initially we started. So this year, when the lockdown was anticipated, we started with 500 meals in April, and eventually, started identifying clusters and went up to around 30,000 meals by the end of April. By May, we were doing 40,000, 42,000 meals every day. The numbers are still less than last year. Last year, at our peak, we were doing 91,000 meals a day. This year, we did around 42, 45,000 meals a day, which was half of it, but still quite, important. So far, we have delivered around 15 lakh meals and the data is from 5th June, 5th or 7th of June. We have distributed around 15 lakh meals. We have distributed close to 25,000 grocery kits. We have already surpassed our last year's figure of 20,000.
Okay.
And 25,000 families have received support this year. So last year we covered 80% of Mumbai. We weren't that active in, the eastern suburbs. But this year we covered 100% of the city. We have reached out to every nook and corner of Mumbai. Beyond Mumbai, we have reached out to Thane, Navi Mumbai, Mira Bhayandar, and Vasai Virar too. But this one particular instance that we recently posted was, we got an SOS call from Murbad, and one of our partners I had identified tribal families. So these tribal families have no source of income, and they're generally engaged in some basic farming activities, which has stopped now. So we identified 500 such families, and we supported them through an SOS call. We sent our kits to Palghar and Dahanu. Palghar, Dahanu, and Murbad are the three areas that we reached out to. So that's how we are slowly expanding towards the larger Mumbai metropolitan region. So now when someone asks us where Khana Chahiye, where do we actively approach. We say Mumbai metropolitan region and not Mumbai, because we have now crossed the boundaries of what we identify as Mumbai.
That is so cool. So Simran here is here from Oh Wonderful, and she says lovely work done by Khana Chahiye, and love doing our small bit with from the Bake Collective to support their operational service. There was some other message also. Everybody is like great job and everything. So you guys are
I mean,
really
the
really
Bake Collective, I would like to just give a shout out to the Bake Collective, because the Bake Collective is a group of, phenomenal people that approached us, and they sort of raised funds for Khana Chahiye's community kitchen, because they identified, like you said, right, it's a sustainable operation, the community kitchen model, and they absolutely loved it. And that's how, shout out to the Bake Collective, the official Liverpool Supporters Club in Mumbai, because they did a very good job of funding a community kitchen, as well as Motilal Oswal Foundation. So they trusted us with our work, and that's important for us. That's really important.
Amazing. That is so cool. Okay, so you were talking about also grocery kits. So do you guys prefer grocery kits instead of cooked meals, or how is it?
I mean, see, cooked meals is a very tedious operation, I would say, because it's a daily job. You have to ensure the quality of the quality of the meals. You have to every day make sure that the meals are delivered on time. Packaging happens, and with the monsoon coming in, cooked meals become even more difficult logistically. But for a grocery kit, when the kit is made by our vendors, by our partners, and those kits are just delivered to somebody, to the family in distress, and that kit supports a family of 4 for around 12 to 15 days, right? So for the next 12 to 15 days, there is limited contact with the beneficiary, and they can cook whatever they want, right? They don't have to depend on us. They have some choice to make things. So we prefer, of course, grocery kits, but we obviously cannot sustain on just grocery kits. As I mentioned, there are families who do not have, fuel, who do not have a kitchen, who are living on the streets, and for them to cook in this weather is not a financially, it's not a logistically viable option. So we definitely continue on both verticals. Of course, we prefer grocery kits, but cooked meals is something that's how we started. So we will, of course, continue our operation.
And
so
with
a minimum of 10,000 cooked meals will be given out in this operation as well, because that's the number of people that we have identified among our beneficiaries.
Right. Amazing. And you also, while you were talking about all the pros and cons about the cooked meal, even variety in the cooked meal also matters. So you guys also take care of that.
And I know I appreciate that fact you brought that up. Generally, when people think about cooked meals, and if it's a relief operation, people think that it's khichdi, which is a popular and a financially more viable choice for anybody to cook. But we don't do khichdi. So Khana Chahiye does not do khichdi. We very rarely do even dal rice. What we do is we innovate our options every day. We have a weekly menu set up for each kitchen. So we do roti sabzi, we involve pav bhaji. That's the kind of item that sometimes we give out. We do chole rice, we do masoor biryani, a bunch of variety that even our beneficiaries, because there are certain people who get their food every day, and it's not fair that we give the same item every day. I mean, nobody would like to eat the same thing again and again. So that's the variety that we do. And again, a big thanks to our kitchen partners who have always relentlessly stood up for this, and they comply with all our procedures, and they make sure that adequate quantity of food also goes out. So around 400 grams of food per person goes out every day, 350 to 400 grams. It's sufficient for a grown man for one time. And that's the kind of food that we give out, and that's the quality of the food that we maintain. So food is also tasted by our volunteers every morning. So, and whatever feedback we get from the ground is, and our kitchen partners are very sweet, whatever feedback we get about the quantity of salt, about the quantity of spices, everything is accommodated and eventually given out. So that's the work that we do.
Mr. Singh says, love you, young man. Joisha says, commendable work by you and Khana Chahiye. Amazing. I have tears in my eyes. This is like you rightly said, go Neeraj by Main, the Connor Singh.
Thank you.
So it's amazing because, like you rightly said, that the beneficiaries also have a dignity. You can't be just
Absolutely.
giving khichdi and all that. That is beautiful. So Khana Chahiye is such a catchy name. How did you guys come up with this, or the founders,
Um,
or?
Yeah, I mean, generally the name came up because of the ethos that we observed on the ground. Khana chahiye can be a statement like khana chahiye. It can also be a question, khana chahiye, which is like, do you want food? And
Yeah.
I need food, a request. So it can also be a request. So that one, those two words, I mean, it comprise a lot of emotion. It comprise a lot of sentiments, and we felt that let's just utilize that as a sentiment, because I think that was a part of the conversation that happened on the ground when we used to go to beneficiaries and ask aapko khana chahiye, and
Oh,
that's how that's the ethos that we just essentially took up. And we get a lot of these questions asking why such an unusual name, but I don't feel it's an unusual name. I just feel that it's something that we embody, and it's something that our volunteers essentially live.
yeah. No, I think it's brilliant. The nomenclature Kana Chahiye. It's amazing. That is no, the name is powerful, and like you said, it has so many different emotions. A question, a request, statement.
A
Amazing.
statement, yeah.
That is good. So, would you like to would you like to put out a message for everybody who's watching now or who's watching later on? Uh, Anything that the viewers can do to be a part of Khana Chahiye in whichever way, in terms of donation, in terms of their cars, in terms of their food, groceries, whatever. So, can you just make a make a
Sure,
statement
sure.
for our viewers?
So, I mean, thank you for this platform, number one. I mean, this is great that we are getting to reach out to more and more people. But if anybody is watching this, we just would like to convey that, the situation might seem better. The number of cases has come down, but that doesn't mean the local economy or the local situation has improved. People have still lost livelihoods and jobs, and people are still suffering. The problem is that this time you cannot see that suffering. Last year we saw people on the streets, we saw people walking back. This year the struggles are invisible.
Hmm.
People will not necessarily reach out for help, but they are in distress. And as I mentioned before, it's not just the lower class communities anymore. We are seeing a very disturbing trend of middle class being affected. So there are two things that you can do. You can contribute to our ongoing fundraiser, which is on Give India, and the link is up in our bio. You can volunteer with us if you want. We will require volunteers. Remote work, if you are someone who doesn't want to go on ground and just help us out with basic data maintenance and calling, please join us. Please fill our form. And if you are someone who have a vehicle that you would like to volunteer in Mumbai, Thane, Navi Mumbai, Mira Bhayandar, Vasai, Virar, wherever, please reach out to us, and we'll appreciate any form of help that we get. So that's the only.
So well said. That is amazing. So just before we end and go on to our last messages, everybody, there are so many
Just a
messages
second.
that
I
are
think
coming
Deepshika, I just
through.
lost your voice in between. Hold on.
Yeah.
Can you
Now,
just
can you
join
hear
back?
me?
Can you just join back? 1 minute.
Yeah. If there are any questions, please post them so that we can ask Neeraj. In case you guys want to volunteer, we will be tagging them. And just 1 second. We will be tagging them so you can reach out to their Instagram page, and they have their links up in the bio. So you can be a part of this relief operation, which is huge, and extend a
Yeah.
helping hand to everybody. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So I was just telling everybody that we will be tagging you, of course, and then they can see Khana Chahiye page, and then you, like you said, you have all the links in the bio, so people can reach out. And that was very good information that you put out there for all the requests. So I just want to tell everybody that is joining us from Khana Chahiye, please follow the Paradigm Shift page. We bring you amazing stories like Khana Chahiye, like Neeraj's, even his individual story, like how he just went from, right after graduation into this huge relief operation, and he's doing his bit. So we bring you inspiring stories like this. So please follow the Paradigm Shift page. And everybody that is following us from the Paradigm Shift page, please follow Khana Chahiye and help in whatever way that you can. Like how Neeraj said, there were donations even down to 100 rupees, and the lowest amount, whatever you can give, and give, contribute in whatever way you want to, be it your car or be it your service, be it some kind of donation. That is amazing. So it's like complete respect and salute to Khana Chahiye, the huge operation that you guys have reached. So any final message to kids your age? Neeraj, do you want to say anything to kids your age?
I don't think I'm a kid, but I think I understand
How
the
old are you?
sentiment.
How old are you?
No,
How old are
I
you?
mean, all I want to say is that, we have been, I mean, we have to inherit this city's future eventually. So, it's time that we take charge now that the opportunity has come. So, we have so many youngsters joining us. We have so many college students joining us. So, a huge shout out to all of them. If you are an adult who can, make a few calls, do some data work, good with Excel, want to use your skills somehow, please join us, and we'd be happy to acknowledge your contribution in any way possible. If you are good with social media, digital, like we have some designers also who have joined us, who are helping us create beautiful creatives and content that we are putting out. So, I mean, it's a huge team, and I don't think any one person can. And it's like I feel that Khana Chahiye has become like an emotion, and a lot of people have just embraced it. And I think that's the only message I want to give out to people my age who can looking for opportunities.
Absolutely, because I just tagged two of your posts, Khana Chahiye's post on our story, and they were beautiful songs that you guys had put out. It's something so inspiring and motivational. I mean, you just listen to it and you want to just go there and do your bit, which is
all our content team. That's the content team, and someone like Sauraj Shetty, who's our digital director, Dinah D'Souza, and a whole range of people who are involved into the content creation.
Beautiful. Amazing. So thank you so much, Neeraj. I am not going to keep you here because I know you have a lot of work to do, because you have like a challenge and you have to, go out there and make a difference. And all I want to say to everybody that is watching, we are a big country. We have so many people. Like, we keep comparing ourselves to those tiny little countries that, oh, wo to theek ho gaya, ye to theek ho gaya. They're size of Andheri, and probably just one. So let's not compare India. This is a huge place, to small, tiny countries all over the world. Let's mask up. Let's take care, because Neeraj, even the other day when I was driving to run some essential errands or something, there are people just partying on the road. They have no respect for any rules and regulations. I pity any government, forget what, whichever government, central, state, whatever. I pity any lawmakers, because लोग ने laws बनाए. Other countries, वो छोटे-छोटे countries जो अंधेरी जितने हैं, they probably are out of this and they're back partying because they followed the rules from day one to day. Like you said, 13 months of the pandemic, they followed the rules to the T. And what we did was we started having weddings, and we started having all sorts of things, and we're too many people for anybody to manage. So let's take like how Neeraj said, we are inheriting this city and it is our responsibility. So please guys, this is our responsibility. It's only in our hands. Go get vaccinated, mask up, wash your hands, do the basic, and just be safe, and and do whatever you can with Khana Chahiye. So we absolutely salute you guys. Are powerful. Totally respect the work that you guys are doing. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, and thank you for bearing with the whole internet connection issues. But it was great to be here and great to talk to you. And thank you for the platform once again.
Thank you. Bye bye. See you. Thank you, Neeraj,
Bye.
so much.
Bye.
Bye, Sandy. Bye. Bye, everyone.